my op die koepel van die monument, ergens in die laar by Bloedrivier. Kom haal my op die spoor van die generaal. Ek staan wag by elke vrou en dier. Ek herlaai die Sannas in Bakenlaagte. Ek ontspoor die trein op die Oosterlyn. Ek knip al die gate in Kitchener se draad. Ek dra elke vrou en kind uit die pyn. As jy my vind, sal jy dit sien. Ek het net my land en my God gedien. As jy my vind, sal jy dit weet. Kyk hier in my oë, luister na my kreet. As jy my vind, sal jy my ken. Skiet my op die woorde van die stem. Ek het daar die troon hier kom begrawe. Kyk het plante kruis vir Delary. Op Paulse bloed spoel hier deur my are. Ek vra om vir altyd daar te bly. Ek staan nie tussen kruise op spioenkop. Ek weier om te glo, dit was als verniet. Ek hys die vlag op elke boer se hartklop. Ek hoop dit word ons kinders se lied. As jy my vind, sal jy dit sien. Ek het net my land en my God gedien. As jy my vind, sal jy dit weet. Kyk hier in my oë, luister na my kreet. As jy my vind, sal jy my ken. Skiet my op die woorde van die stem. My land en my God gedien. As jy my vind, sal jy dit weet. Kyk hier in my oë, luister na my kreet. As jy my vind, sal jy my ken. Skiet my op die woorde van die stem. As jy my vind, sal jy dit sien. Ek het net my land en my God gedien. My land en my God gedien. In my oë, luister na my kreet. Sal jy my ken, skiet my op die woorde van die stem.
I see black women wearing a red MAGA hat last night on television. Please let the president come in. My son was attacked. You have a force of black women. They're like only Trump. They want Trump to come in. And you see them. They're all over the place in Chicago because they're afraid to go out and they don't want their son or their daughter killed, just like your parents didn't want you killed. And we have a tremendous... Look, it's not about winning elections because we want to have nice, fair elections. It's not politics. We want to see a safe country. You have people that want to see a safe country, and they're great people. You have great people in Chicago. The mayor is at 6% approval. He's an incompetent man. He should have never been put in a position like that.
Well, hello, welcome to Pepper's Echo. My name's Andre, for those who've forgotten about it for the last, I don't know how many weeks that I haven't streamed, 2 weeks now. I do apologize absolutely profusely. How are all you wonderful, awesome, fantastic people out there? I'm actually overjoyed to actually see that I actually have somebody on stream today, which is phenomenal to have you guys all here. So let me greet. Well, number one, with the eyes, yes, I do apologize. I hope I'm not having internet hassles because I've had to change a few channels as I went along. So I do hope that they are working out a little bit better, and we got no hooks or scratches, and that you can actually hear me. Sorry, but it is fantastic to have all you awesome, wonderful people. Hendo, number one with a bullet, our favorite European South African. How are you keeping, my friends? Strange to see eyes and no caps yet, but I'm sure we'll come across them. Fiona White Zulu, how are you, my dearest? Absolutely, our beautiful lady in waiting. How are you keeping? With shame, my head hung in shame. I could not find your correct link yet. So, I mean, I've gone on to try and look at it. I get a whole lot of Johnny Clegg's and I found yours. So, I do believe that I still have your incorrect link. If you could just post it again so that I could pull it. So, I do apologize profusely as such. Buzzy Lynn, thank you very, very much for always taking care of sending out the stream and that. Alison, our beautiful lady from the Bay, I am dreadfully, dreadfully mortified to hear that you are going through such a hard time. Such a beautiful, wonderful young person like yourself does not deserve to be going through these troubles. I can promise you that you will be in our thoughts and in our prayers. And virtual hugs, if you can fit yourself into this one, that one's just for you, Alison. A big, big hug for you. So, yes, no, thank you very, very much for reaching out. That's what we're all here for. And I know that every single one is thinking and praying and giving you those big virtual hugs as well. I really, really hope that this week goes better and that there is some miracle that actually just comes down, touches you, and actually carries you through this week. Just keep believing. It's easier always said than done, especially when we're not in that position where you are and you're facing all that tension, and it's really, really horrible. So Yaz thinking of you, Yaz pulling for you, rooting for you, and definitely praying for you. Take care of yourself, Alison. Buzzy. CB1, how's it going, CB1? Always, always good to see you as well. Ahendo afternoon, folks. There we go. The caps. John Moslane, how are you keeping, John? Fantastic. Always to see you as well, my friend. Thank you very much for tuning in. John Sin, Hendos, everybody. The wife is, yeah, we need to keep our language clean. Yeah, everyone's rooting. Yeah, throw some hearts in the chat for Alison if you can heart it away there. There we go, Alison. Hearts just for you, hey? Hearts just for you. If I had my Apple, I'd be able to do the same as Renaldo, but I'm not on the laptop. White Zulu, CB1. Who else is there? Hendo, and CB1. There we go. Yes, I agree. If there's anything else we can do, Alison, I know like a little prayer and a thought is great, but it doesn't help always. So if there's anything that we can do, yes, please let us know. Thank you, CB1. There we go, Alison. All those hearts just for you. CB, you're an absolute star. Thank you very much, star. But there we go. And Buzzy's also giving you. And Hendo says he's stuck on his bed. Why are you stuck on your bed, Hendo? What kind of... No, let's not go down that line. Let's not go down that line. It's just so good to be back and so awesome, so elating to just see all you wonderful, wonderful people out there. So yeah, Alison, take care of yourself. Be kind to you. And remember, sometimes you just got to stop and think of you for a change, because I know the kind of lady you are and you think of everybody else but yourself. So please remember that you also come first. It's not being greedy, it's being careful, and it's being kind to you. Right, let's get on to the next one. A lovely lady, Diane Keaton. She passed away yesterday at the age of 79, California, after experiencing a sharp downturn in her health. It's very sad, the people that are passing away. I am quite, should I say, shocked, as we covered a few times as well. Hendo says stuck in his bed, sees previous comment, taking things very slow. Oh my goodness me, Hendo. My friend, you seem to be under a lot of pressure too. We'll keep you in thoughts and prayers as well, buddy. No, definitely. Yo, Hendo, yeah, take it easy. Stay on your back. Just listen. Listen quietly. Don't move your hands or anything. But yes, as I said, and that's why we've been sort of like covering like who's still alive and who's not, and the stars that we remember, the First Wives Club and all of that. And I was looking at a few people. I was watching the program. There's I don't know which streaming platform it's on. The one on John Candy, and I was looking at his wife, and I was thinking, I wonder how old John Candy would be today if we had to see him, because he passed away in 1994. Fabulous chap, everybody loved him, and very, very sad. But it's really sad to see icons like Diane Keaton going. And then also, I know it happened last week, but I did miss it out, was Jane Goodall, the lady from Gorillas in the Mist. If you ever saw that movie, if you haven't seen that movie, it's based on Jane Goodall, Gorillas in the Mist. Absolutely a beautiful movie for an absolutely beautiful woman whose departure has left a great hole in our lives. Nikki Boswell, hello. I don't know if I've seen you around, but welcome. Thank you very, very much for joining Pepper's Echo. Very, very happy to have you here as well. John Muslane says, my dad passed away. He was over 100. Wow. Wow. You know what? And I don't care what anyone says, but when they say you've had a good life, how long is a good life? Because if we go biblically, they went to hundreds. So you know what? You're never ready to give them up. My mom was 91 when she passed, and you know what? I wasn't ready to have her go as well. So I am very, very sorry to hear that as well, John. And as I said, no one can tell you it was a good life, because you know what? It's you just never ready to say goodbye. So yeah. CB1 says, my stepfather also, oh my goodness me, CB1, sorry to hear that too, 89. And as I said again, you know what is a good life? A good life is the person that you remember, not the amount of years. Yeah, Hendo, we're all hoping. I think we should put, I don't know if there's crosses in the, no, that means he's dead. Hendo, don't put crosses for Hendo. Put flowers for Hendo. Hearts for Alison and crosses for Hendo, and flowers for Hendo, or vice versa. Flowers and hearts for Hendo and Alison, guys. Two wonderful people who we don't really feel need to go through any pain. Hendo and his physical pain, and Alison and the pain as well. White Zulu says she's having a terrible time. Thank you, CB1. Hendo, there's flowers for you, bro. CB1, you are an absolute star. What would they say in Afrikaans? Staatmaker. State maker. So I don't know. Maybe later on, or somebody can post it on the, or maybe you could post it on the group itself sometime for me. Fiona, I have glanced across the group. The week has been a little bit busy as well. We have had off until Wednesday, but have been bouncing around in that and then going back, and then we were working Saturday as well. So it doesn't feel like we've actually had off, and I'm trying to catch up. I'm a little bit behind on my assignments at the moment. So yeah. Hendo, Alison, never felt so vulnerable in my life. The nurse had to put my shoes on and tie. Let me put this up for those who can't read. Alison, never felt so vulnerable in my life. The nurse had to put my shoes on and tie my laces. Couldn't bend down. Well, at least you're not going to have a problem when you drop the soap, Hendo. You won't accidentally bend down. No, I'm kidding. No, I know that feeling. When I went in for my kidney stones, and I was like paralyzed from the waist down, and you just can't do anything. The guys are trying to pick me up off the bed, and I'm like, can I help you? But I couldn't move. Thank you, Nikki. There's hearts and flowers. Hearts for Alison and flowers. Hearts and flowers for Alison and Hendo. And what you got? Lynn's got shooting stars for them all, and for I think shooting stars for Nikki because she's a star. Okay, no problem, Fiona. Alison says, John, condolences on your loss. Thinking of you, CB1 as well. My mom has been gone just over a year. Yeah, and you know what? Every now and then again, it just hits you a little bit harder. Uh, I looked at my bracelet the 24th of um, January, and I just thought, you know what? It's just seems to go so far. What's Enda say? I had one guy opposite me with second operation for kidney stones. Missed a few during his first operation. Yes, again, I'd hate to do that over. Yeah, Henda, you'll just have to, as Alison says, accept and enjoy it. You know what the thing is, Henda? I think you should be happy, or I'm not saying you're ungrateful now, but I think the good part is that you have people that can help you. And so you should just say thanks, go for it. Wait until you're needing the toilet so badly and there's a catheter in you. And you're ringing the bell and the guy says, but there's a catheter in you. And you're saying, this thing's not working. I need to get to the loo. White Zulu. White Zulu, you just got to go commando when you can't get them brooks up, huh? Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to this news. But I actually wanted to talk about China first of all, before I actually go into the news and everything to that effect, because then we don't actually get to our main point usually. And China works out like this for me. And I'm like thinking, why do people hate China so much? I don't know. You know what? And once again, I actually specifically marked this episode as opinions, views, and news. So I do have news, but this is part of my opinion and my view. And it's not what I'm wanting to put down on anyone. Okay. And I promise not to tell any jokes. We'll stay somber for you. No, I'm kidding. But I'm just, I'm not working like a political analyst, or I haven't gone diving into politics and things to that effect, etc., etc. I'm going to ask straight out questions. First of all, people are pointing such negative fingers at China, and I don't see it. I don't see it. First of all, I, number one, have lived here now for going on 3 years. Cambodia, 5 years, China going on 3 years now. I have been most welcome. I've been very comfortable. I haven't found any of the nasty things that everyone has said. I literally, you know what, and I'm not going to say it isn't so, but I literally haven't seen any homeless people. Now, I'm not saying China doesn't have homeless people, and I probably am very, very fortunate to live and work in an area where it isn't as poverty stricken. I have seen poorer areas, and I have seen areas that are more, or should I say, not as new as the area that I live in, but I haven't seen it dirty at all. I haven't seen it filthy. I haven't seen papers lying around. I haven't seen a mess or anything to that effect. It's just, it really is. I've in 2.5 years seen one beggar. One beggar. That's it when I was walking around the streets. Yeah, you could say so, but if you even go to the smaller cities and countries, I mean, we went to a small place the other day called Liang. They are still clean. They might not be as affluent as the biggest cities, and we, walking around there and seeing people and things like that. I don't think, by a long shot, I don't think they're as wealthy as the people in the bigger cities, but I haven't seen it as commonly. And then I also wonder, there's, as far as I'm concerned, the United States and China should actually be bonding together and not clashing, because there's so much finger pointing. I mean, there was the question that was asked. Um, I mean, everybody knows the big question about soybeans. Soybeans, tariff was thrown, tariff was thrown, tariff was thrown. China said, fine, we don't buy soybeans. They bought them from Brazil, and the have a good couple of million loss in trade from China. And I don't think it was a bad decision. I mean, let's put it this way. You go to buy a chicken for lunch, and Woolworths has chickens for 100 Rand, but Checkers has chickens for 60 Rand. Where do you go and buy your chickens? No one says, hey, you've got to support Woolworths. Woolworths is the quality guy. Woolworths. You go to Checkers and buy your chickens, because Checkers chickens taste just as good. Maybe they didn't go to private school like Woolworths chickens, but they are there. So off you go, and you go and get it from Brazil. If you're not busy, if you've already created a manufacturing hub within your borders, and you need to work on exports and things to that effect, like the Belt and Road project, wouldn't you be building out to go around the world? Yes, I know people are pointing fingers and going, yeah, but they build in poorer countries and they take over the land part. Well, you know what? I think most people would like to do that. I don't know if the pointing of the finger isn't because it should have been me and not you. If I take over a port over here in this country and I run it, it's wrong. But if you place a NATO uh, base in the middle of some other country next door to me, that's okay. I mean, let's take a look at one of the things. I, and once again, I speak absolutely from a layperson's point of view, and I stand to be corrected 100%, and I don't mind it at all. I'm just giving you my point of view and asking the questions of why, because all I hear and see, obviously, I see a lot because I see the over extreme as well, the others that can't fault China at a bit. And then you get absolute retards like Serpent ZA, who's seriously miserable grey little life is made out of collecting money on dissing China consistently. I know the one time he was talking about EV cars that burst into flames, and he showed an EV car that was burst into flames, and in the end it proved out to be a smart car, which isn't even a Chinese made EV car, but he was so desperate at dissing China. But all I'm saying is, we take a look at Russia and Moldova, flipping wherever they're fighting now. There was a clash because they wanted to build a NATO base there. But what if in Mexico or in Canada, China suddenly built a military base? I think the United States would have a hernia. Now, NATO is basically US. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. It's not independent. But yeah, it's just questions that come across. I mean, everything works. Yeah, everything goes. Yeah, technology. I mean, and I wanted to actually pull that section for you. It was the CEO of Nvidia himself, from his own mouth, was saying China is not behind. It's not weeks behind. It's not months behind. It's not years behind. They're not days behind. China's literally nanoseconds on our heels, behind on our heels. They are not far at all. So, you know what, wherever AI chips are made, or wherever anything that is needing rare earth minerals, or at least the processed version of the rare earth minerals, you should get together and make things happen. I don't for once say that China doesn't rule itself or run itself in the same way that the West runs itself, but you know what? The way that they're running themselves works. I mean, we'll talk now about just now. Listen to me being South African. In a moment we'll speak about the ANC's 10-point plan. You know what? China puts together plans that actually work. The Minister of Agriculture. Let me just take a look at the chat while I'm Uh, reason why China is hated except by Russians is that they have the biggest navy in the world. They are 25 years ahead of the US. You know what? I don't want to measure belt notches with US and China. Um, yeah, Hindo, they do have opposite ideologies, and this is the whole thing: is theirs works for them. If the West works for the West, don't shoot something down because you're not eating or running your household the same as what I run my household. We are successfully achieving something within our households. You know what? Don't change it. This is South Africa's trying to run the country with a Chinese ideology and get a Western result, and they are botching it something horrifically because both require a certain amount of commitment to get the outcome that they are getting, and South Africa just can't think for themselves. So the two countries are petrified of them because they are threatened to invade Taiwan, which is the gateway to trade, military sea outlets. Yes, look, I'm not washing China and saying, oh, look at this ultra clean sheet. But what I'm saying is America to me is not clean. South Africa is an absolute shithole. The UK is not clean to me. You know what? But there are good points about it. No one is trashing a country as badly as what they are trashing on China, and without due reason. You know what they'd like to say? Oh, you're so far behind, you're going to crash, your economy is plummeting, your country's in trouble, it's absolute trash, and that is trash. So as far as I'm concerned, this economy is not going down. Where did I go? I went all the way back up again by accident. Now I was wondering why everyone was greeting each other again. It's due to plenty of resources and cheap labor that they can build most efficient, biggest aircraft carriers in the world. China's labor is not as cheap as what it used to be, but they're pretty efficient in that way. And the fact that they've created a manufacturing hub, this is why something else is always like, oh, you know what, everything out of China is cheap and nasty. And sadly, it's not anymore. You get really, really good quality coming out of China. Yes, you also have your cheap and nasty channels. You all have Temu, we have Pindada, and then we actually use Taobao. And if you're going to get electronics or something like that, we use a platform called JD. So Taobao and JD, we get absolutely phenomenal pricing in that. And that's also, A, there's no overheads for them. B, they have contracts with distribution companies, which you have the really minimal delivery plans. I mean, so minimal that it didn't even bother me to just order one nail brush one evening. But none of them, everyone has this picture of sweatshops, and the more people are trying to say, you know what, that is not allowed. It's just that, yes, they have had lower salaries. No, they have increased them. Yes, they don't probably hit top-notch or Western salary basis, but they're not unlivable. And their way of creating manufacturing is all around them. There is no overhead high expense. So that is why most of the time. Now, once again, I'm not saying that they're faultless, and there isn't, and there will never be, etc., as in most of the world. Yeah, you know what? America's not the safest country in the world. Is it safe? Yes. China? Yes. I actually think China's safer than America, but that's my opinion because I have never been to America. I think China's definitely much safer than South Africa, and yes, I've been to both of those. But yeah, White Zulu, China's not on our heels. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to downplay the States. The States is extremely powerful, and they have their own way of doing things. And I'm not there to turn around and say to you, well, the States is in the toilet. No, it's not. It's right up there. And this is why I say these two nations, just if they actually got together, they would be really, really powerful together. Hendas, SA selling dodgy EV cars now. Well, yeah, as well. You know what? Yeah, you get your really expensive branded ones, and then you get your little cheap runaround ones, your Datsuns. No, I'm kidding, but yeah. But all I wanted to say is I just don't know why all the bad mouthing. There's a distinct mainstream media, once again, or media in general, hatred created on China, and I just wanted to put in my few cents and asking, you know what, why? Why is it necessary? Why is it important? Why is it so important to diss them? It's really I don't know if anyone's cut off from me because my whole viewership's dropped to one. Is it a pretty crappy subject that I'm going on? But anyway, um, I just don't know why, because I am really happy. And then of course the last thing that I wanted to mention is I think it's the Minister of Agriculture. They just called him up, pulled him out on corruption. Uh, During his time, he was in for up for corruption, and I think $34 million value worth of corruption, and he has not been sentenced to jail. He has been sentenced to death because of that. If there's been any changes, I don't know, but imagine that. If that was in South Africa, we'd have to kill our whole government. We'd have to sentence the whole government to death, including Ramaphosa. So, I'm not going to shoot down other countries. I know each country has their problem. I mean, the UK is a good, strong country. The pound is still right up there. But they're having their own refugee problems. The States is fighting to get itself right in a certain way. I mean, I don't think Trump has any form of easy job on turning there, because there's a lot of people that understand, and then there's a lot of people who are just unfortunately wokingly left and making life difficult. But each person has things that they are needing to get done, and the States is a very powerful country. That's why I also believe that South Africa should not be shooting themselves in the foot. It's a massive trading partner, and yes, China does trade with South Africa, but it trades for parts. It trades for raw. The States imports ready-made or completed items, which means it creates more jobs in South Africa, not just the raw. So yes, you know what? Take a look at things properly and economically. I'm not by a long shot, but yeah, as I say, and if we ended up finding somebody corrupt in our government, which is just like sort of standard run of the mill, we'd have to sentence them all to death. Over here, one minister is found being corrupt, and he's sentenced to death. I think that's something to think about. That'll make you run your country a little bit better, I'm sure. But yeah, for me, it's just it's just that I think if the US and China could find a way to not necessarily have to be best friends, but to just operate as two cogs that actually move together, I think you would find they would be damn close to ruling the world, because they would just be, because now we've got BRICS on the one side, and I don't think BRICS is anything to be sneered at. I think BRICS in the one side with India, Russia, and China in it. I mean, South Africa is just there for its use. It's got absolutely nothing to say. It's like a little chihuahua biting on the ball ears, but it's really nothing hectic. But I don't think we should undermine BRICS to that point, because they can end up making better decisions. But I'd rather see China and the States in some kind of agreement like that, instead of having to have them against each other. Just my opinion of what, and my questions. It's not my full statement, and I'm not shaming anyone. If there is anyone that I need to shame, let me come up for him. Byron from Morningshot. I know that there has been another YouTube channel which shot him down profusely, has claimed that he's being paid by I don't know, Israeli Zionists or something to that effect, which we all know is absolute rubbish. I mean, I don't know how people actually come up with these conspiracies. And I do watch that program, and sometimes I do tend to sometimes agree with maybe the eccentricities that they would go to. But honestly, there is another YouTube channel that only works with two names, this guy and another guy, and that's all he does is criticize them. But now this guy has actually criticized Morningshot, and I'm not going to give you the the channels or anything like that. You can watch Morningshot. He has spoken about it. Yeah, Renaldo and Byron, when they were talking, have spoken about it as well. But no, what a farce! What an absolute farce! I really can't go on. White Zulu says, I've got an upcoming interview with Ronaldo, and I'm going to reveal that there is a far bigger threat to China, the Muslims, and the Western to China, the Muslims, and the Western world. In fact, the whole planet. Yeah, look, you know what? I'm not saying China's faultless. All I'm saying is, it's no different to the rest of the big guns in this world. To the US, to Canada, to the UK, they all have their faults, but they're all up there. And when it comes to technology and moving and being stable, China's right up there with everybody. The US isn't going to fall, but nor is China. Hendo says, who is not corrupt in SA? Parliament, a handful. Just, I don't think you could even fit that into a hand, dude. You could just kick it away with your toe. What's Hendo say? According to Crazy SA Conspiracy, Colonel Chris Wyatt was CIA. Yeah, no, I mentioned that still before. Not even the. I know that one guy, that same guy, also said he was CIA. But what's down under presumptuous, dude? I actually had it on my stream with where he said, "Yeah, Chris, and don't forget, Chris Wyatt is actually CIA." Then I must be James Bond, shaken not stirred. I don't know, what am I then? You know, you've taken James Bond. I'll be Bourne. I'll be Jason Bourne. You be James Bond. Okay? How's that, Endo? We'll have drinks. Yours can be shaken. Mine can be stirred. Yeah, all have their faults. There we go, Henduk. Scott Bulsack. There's it. So let's get on to some news quickly so I can get through there, because I think I've waffled enough about my my thoughts and my questions, and it's up to you to make a decision. I'm not making a decision for you. I'm not saying you should like or not like. It's up to you. I've always insisted that you listen to and go with everything. I just sometimes feel rather and I don't like to take things personally, and I don't take personally. It's just that, you know what I see and what I hear do not correspond with me. I may be blind, but yeah. Before we go to the news, just let's take on the people that are always there, the people that do have the facts, the people that actually do the research, the checking behind their research. Please don't forget to go and subscribe to them. Their links are in the description.
Problem. If no one else can help, then it's going to find them.
Okay, so yeah, let's jump onto our little news, or my little bit of a news that I have as we go by. First up, let's take a look at Kusatu. Kusatu is busy taking a march in the Western Cape, the Congress of South African Trade Unions, the ones that represent workers all across South Africa and fighting for their rights, for better working conditions, or so they say, or better salaries for their leaders. But in the Western Cape, they're planning to march to Parliament on Tuesday in a peaceful way, but for people to show that they are unhappy about certain issues and want change. Their main concerns that workers are protesting against three major problems: job losses, retrenchments. Many people are losing their jobs, which means families have less money to buy food, pay for housing. Retrenchments happen when companies fire workers to save money, and of course the tariffs are costing us money. BEE is costing us money. Um, it's you know what, state owned companies are, I mean, are costing us money. They are protesting it, but they're not bringing out any solutions. They're looking at weak economic growth. The economy is not growing fast enough to create new jobs. When the economy grows slowly, it becomes harder to find work and improve their living conditions. So, yeah, the prices of things are going through the roof. The jobs are dropping through the floor. What are you going to do about it? A protest which you say is peaceful and is going to end up being a rumpus is not going to be the solution. Rising costs of living, everything's becoming more expensive: food, electricity, water, transportation. This makes it difficult for families to afford basic needs with the same amount of money. Their plans of action: COSATU will deliver two important documents called memorandums, one to Parliament, the governing building where the laws are made, and another to the town's mayor about the high electricity and water costs. And that's when you have water and electricity. Basically, what they are trying to do is, Melvin de Bruyn, COSATU's provincial secretary, explained that people in the Western Cape are unhappy with the current conditions. The march aims to get government attention and to push for solutions to these economic problems. So, Ionia. Then we go over to the academic activities that disrupt at the University of Fort Hare, Alice campus, due to protests. So students have protested at Fort Hare. Why are they protesting? I've tried to sum these things up, or just get a bit of a summary instead of reading out the whole articles to you as such. But the students of the University of Fort Hare, Alice campus, they are protesting against changes to their university, to their student government rules. The university wants to change the student government constitution. But students are upset because they weren't included in making these important decisions. The main problem is that the university announced it would create an interim student representative council while they work on changing the constitution. An interim student representative council means temporary student leaders who are chosen by the university instead of being voted for by the students. The current protests have disrupted normal campus activities. The online classes are still continuing. What students want is student leaders. Sonele Magwaza explained that the students want a democratically elected SRC to be part of the changing constitution. Students believe that if the university picks the interim SRC members, these leaders will only do what the university wants instead of fighting for student needs. This is especially concerning because important decisions about student registration and exclusion meetings will happen soon. Now, this is a problem because, you know what, why, just because of a student council, representative council, they have destroyed private property, property that doesn't belong to them, property that was entrusted to them. University's spokesperson JP Root defended the decision, saying the University Council made this choice while they finalized the new SRC constitution. He promised that free elections would happen after the constitution is completed. Root also addressed the student concerns about campus safety, stating that crime statistics show security improving with 64 guards patrolling during the day and night shifts. Why does this matter? Well, the situation shows the importance of student representation in the university, but it is also a big load of crackerjack when it comes to what the students are doing. There's different ways of approaching this. I mean, if they really had to be hectic about it, take it to court. Yeah, Josie, I see Henda says Josie is now battling it out with the Freedom Front. Yeah. Wonder how many votes he's taken over there. Well, they seem to be fairly decent guys. I just don't know how many seats they've got. They're very small. Hopefully they grow. I think they'll take a lot of the right shift from the DA, and I think the MK and I don't know who's that other gate and prick is going to be taking from the ANC. The ANC is busy imploding itself. What's in does say Kusato Samura, another lot need to be banned. Yeah, yeah. ANC costing everyone money. The ANC is costing the whole country its life, never mind money. Economy is going backwards. Let's put it on there. The economy is going backwards with too much Bantu breeding. Yeah. No family planning. Yeah, well, you know what? Need a salary increase, have another baby, get a grant, because this is what they're saying. If we go out of government, it's not like apartheid anymore. It's now if we go out of government, you're not getting our, you're not getting our, you're not going to getting your grants anymore. Uh, yeah, the SRC is actually just like a mini COSATU type of thing. It doesn't do anything in the interest of the university. The SRC should be acting in the interest of the university and bringing the university and the students together. This is just a little violent toy club. That's all it is. Indo says the Freedom Front will double in size. Yeah, I have no doubt that the Freedom Front is going to grow phenomenally. I think we're going to be very surprised when we see it. Lynn will be able to give you my WhatsApp, Fiona, or Debbie would be able to as well. Otherwise, just drop it on the group. I have access to the group as well there. But anyway, what I want to get to the next one is, because I don't want to spend all my time on the news tonight, and I have a couple of news little bits and pieces. The ANC outlines a plan to tackle poverty and unemployment. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole plan because Chris Wyatt already did. And if you take a look, if you haven't seen it, go and take a look at his news on the at his clip or stream on the ANC's 10-point plan, which is extremely accurate once again. But the African National Congress recently announced a new plan to help South Africa's economy grow and create more jobs for its people. Let me think. They're going to cut PEE. They're going to actually negotiate with the US to actually drop tariffs, and they're going to privatize state-owned enterprises. So this in its own will actually quadruple, if not more, jobs, economy, profitability. No. The meeting and announcements, the ANC held a special 3-day meeting, which probably cost taxpayers an arm and leg and a kidney in Boksburg near Johannesburg. At the end of the meeting, President Cyril Ramaphosa shared the party's 10-point plan to tackle the country's economic challenges. And I haven't gone through it. As I said, once again, go through it, go and watch Chris's stream on it. And he neatly outlines that it is basically one hollow shell of hot air with zero solutions. South Africa's economy has shown some improvement in the second quarter of 2025 with the fastest growth rate in 2 years. Now, if you're actually going to take a look and compare the country's current growth rates over the last years, you're working off a terribly low bar. Really, you are. I'm going to quote one of my very first CEOs that I worked for, and we were showing our income statements, and we were saying, "Yo, look at this growth," and his words straight out to us. And I ask, for those of you who do not enjoy foul language, I apologize profusely in advance, because these were his words. Gentlemen, fuck all on fuck all is still fuck all. I wish the ANC could get that understanding. So, however, this growth is still not enough to solve the country's major problems with poverty and inequality. Now, inequality is not going to solve poverty, just by the way. And so putting BEE into place and keeping it there is just not working. So its plans focus on 3 major objectives: increase economic growth, make the country's economy stronger, and create more jobs for South African citizens. Now, once again, I urge you to go and watch Chris's stream as he breaks this down. And he doesn't really need to break it down, because there's nothing to break down, because that's about it. It's these words. There's no plan, there's no deadline, there's no resources, there's no checking points, there's no, nothing is measurable, nothing is attainable, nothing. Nothing on nothing is nothing. And then end poverty and reducing inequality between rich and poor people. Now, how do you reduce inequality between rich and poor people? The ANC's point on doing that is by making everybody poor, so that there won't be a rich or poor. There'll just be poverty-stricken, bad country with the few toffees at the top. Just ridiculous. State-owned enterprises reform. President Ramaphosa emphasized the importance of fixing state-owned enterprises. These are the companies owned by the government, should help develop the country. The plan includes reforming and rebuilding these companies to work better, hiring experienced and qualified people to run them, making them effective tools for economic development. They couldn't do that. They couldn't freaking run a piss up in a brewery. Instead of giving the companies or selling them off to private enterprises so that they can be competently run, and in maybe, just maybe, once again, let's give you a hint from China's side, and I hate to say that, but just invest in the company and expect a return from it and hold their company accountable on giving you a return and stop trying to run them. It actually might work. So improving the country's competitiveness in the global market, well, they're already just causing problems with their biggest trader. So yeah, so looking forward, the ANC believes that a well-managed government companies are essential for economic growth. No. The government's already proved that they can't manage companies. They are not going to grow anything. The party is already seeing progress in several state-owned enterprises as they work to improve their operations. Absolute, a ball of twat. Really. Let's get to the chats. Who's Budgie? Did I miss somebody? I don't know. I got a Budgie there, at Budgie. We'll phone you after the stream. Thanks, Buzzy. ANC want to model SA into the Cuba. And Cuba's a toilet of Africa. End goal, oceans of poverty run by card-raised banana republics. Exactly. But let's not stay on there. Let's take a look at the next best thing, the ANC itself. They have unpaid debt. So let's talk about, you know what, the ANC is always saying, well, you know what, you're going to pay for the sins of the past. You're going to pay for sins of the past. Unpaid campaign debt. The South African National Congress is in serious financial trouble because it owes money to a marketing company called Zulu Investments. The debt problem, the ANC borrowed 150 million rand from Zulu Investments to pay for campaign materials during the, wait for it, 2019 national elections. However, the parties failed to pay back this money as promised. Currently, the ANC still owes 85 million rand to the company. So legal action begins because the ANC refused to pay despite many requests. Zulu Investments took the matter to court. The court has now given the company permission to seize the ANC assets to recover the money owed. This means the company can legally take the party's valuable items and sell it. The marketing firm is targeting movable assets at the moment in their headquarters in Johannesburg. However, assets include things like furniture, computers, equipment that can be physically removed from the building. However, though, their bank accounts are also under attack. Zulu Investments has already taken action against the ANC's bank accounts, and the company's lawyer, Shafiq Salih, explained that they are waiting to find out how much money is in these accounts so they can take it to pay off the debt. Also, if they do not find enough money between the movable assets and the bank accounts, they will then be able to lay hold of immovable assets like properties and land, which the ANC owns. And that is going to be even worse. Let's go back to chat again quickly. Whammo. Battery. Okay, Buzzy, if I don't see you, hope you get it charged quickly. Alison, ANC is just to deal with Iran. We'll just do a deal with Iran who helped them pay debt. Yeah, well, let's take a look at the next one. SARS. Let's talk Montana, Lucky Montana, and his SARS deals. So, Lucky Montana's a tax dispute with SARS. So let's look a little bit of background information there. Lucky Montana, who's a former government official, ran a transportation company called Praza from 2010 to 2015. He's now a member of parliament with the MK party. Montana has been in a long legal battle with SARS, which is the government's agency, obviously, for collecting taxes. The problem is SARS claims that Montana owes more than $55 million in unpaid taxes. This is a huge debt that comes from incomes that Montana allegedly did not report to the tax authorities between 2009 and 2019. SARS found that Montana made expensive purchases that didn't match the money in his bank account. Purchases under investigation, he bought several luxury items that caught SARS's attention. A 2012 Mercedes-Benz SL63 AMG sports car, a 2012 Aston Martin DB9 luxury car, a 2015 Mercedes-Benz S65 AMG Coupe, a 13.5 million rand property in Hurlingham, and various other properties in Waterkloof. The SARS discovered that Montana spent about 6.6 million on car payments that could not be tracked by his bank accounts. They also found that he failed to declare 2.1 million in profits from selling properties and didn't file tax returns between 2017 and 2020. So Montana claims this is all political witch hunt against him, and he argues SARS is trying to ruin him financially. No, he was trying to steal. So the investigation started when he was going to testify at the State Capture Commission. He believes SARS leaked information about him to journalists. His purchases were legal and properly disclosed. Currently, Montana has offered to pay $5.4 million to settle his $55 million debt. However, SARS rejected the offer, and the tax agency is now trying to take his assets through legal proceedings, sequestration. In 2020, some of Montana's properties were already auctioned off, including furniture, TVs, and paintings. So, voila. Some more corruption. And then I think this is my last one. So you don't have to listen to me for very much longer, but South Africa helicopters secretly sent to Libya. Helicopters smuggling to Libyan warlord via Russia. So let's take a look. This reveals how military helicopters were secretly transported from South Africa to Libya, breaking international rules and sanctions. So what happened about this? At least 4 Gazelle helicopters were flown out of South Africa over 2 months using Russian cargo planes. The helicopters were loaded at Lanseria Airport near Johannesburg, but the flight plans lied about where they were really going. The documents said the planes were flying to Jordan, but they actually delivered the helicopters to General Khalifa Haftar in Benghazi, Libya. So who was all involved? The operation used Abakan Air. Now let me just remind you, Abakan Air are the people who just flew into Uppington that everyone's just had an absolute big fit about. And then there's been some stations that said, well, there was nothing illegal about it. But Abakan Air is the same one that has flown these helicopters out. It's a Russian airline that the United States has banned from delivering weapons to military groups. These Russian planes would turn off their tracking devices and change their flight paths to avoid being caught. So if you were actually an honest plane service, you would not be turning off your tracking device. The helicopters ended up with General Haftar, a powerful warlord who controls eastern Libya and was once one of former dictator Muammar Gaddafi's top generals. So let's take a look at a little bit of background. These Gazelle helicopters originally belonged to the British and French air forces. After being retired from military use, many were brought to South Africa and registered there. The helicopters were supposed to be sold with a promise that they would never be used for military purpose again. But private military groups have turned them back into weapons by adding armor and machine guns. So, breaking international law, this helicopter transfer violates United Nations sanctions that forbid sending military equipment to General Haftar. There's no evidence that South African government officials inspected the cargo or tried to stop these illegal transfers. The transport was discovered when the helicopters appeared in Libya 2 weeks ago, performing a formation flight at an event in Benghazi with Libyan flag stickers covering their South African registration numbers. How's that for arrogant? Previous problems there have been. This isn't the first time South African helicopters have have been used or have been sent. Previously it has happened as well, so really. Abakan Air. Give me a break. Let's go back to the chat quickly. See if there's Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat and I'm giving you a great amount of silence quick. So White Zulu, it's a religious zealots of you need to be afraid of extremists. Yeah. Hinda, I don't give the Chinese much thought as I'm far more worried about the Muslims who are taking over our country. Yeah. I don't know. I think China is sometimes just an scapegoat. Wahhabi, who says this? Wahhabi fanatics, White Zulu extremists with caveman mentality. Every week corruption galore, but no jail for anyone. Remember Zondo Commission? Yeah, that cost us a lot of money, didn't it? Obviously stealing again. How's it, Dylan? My good friend, how are you keeping? You just here to listen to me waffle about the news. We've done all my speaking I can. SA gangster state. Yes, it is a gangster state. It is even on the United Nations, which I don't really have much time for, has been put down as obscure democracy and not a democracy anymore. Only jail for the white, almost white minority innocent people. This is one thing I actually wanted to talk about as well, and I'll get there now. CB1, my cat is keeping me warm in this rainy weather. Nice, nice. And then Dylan's warmly welcomed as well. Run my different mafia groups, example, construction mafia, taxi mafia. There we go. Ellen said the ANC will do anything for money. They make me sick. SA a rogue state. Yeah. The reason I brought up the plane part is because once again on another channel it was said, you know what, there's a big ado about nothing because the plane is actually just bringing in choppers that was rented out to the Red Cross and now it was being brought back to the company and that. But this Abakan Air just bothers me. Why is it blacklisted by the US? The US won't just go and blacklist anything. Number one. Number two, specifically for arms. Number three, if they've already been problematic in the past. Number four, turning off their tracking devices. Number five, why would they lie and say that the helicopters that are going to Jordan, which are heavily armed and armored, and now they end up in Libya, and they're being paraded in a show? I mean, how much more arrogant can you get? It's just a question and query that I once again, as a stupid little everyday man, am asking. So I'm not your forensic guy. As I said, there's Chris, there's Renaldo, there's Joe, there's Morningshot. I've really got to rework that little thing and get old Morningshot in there as well sometime because he doesn't do badly at all. But if you thought our government was a problem, check out Australia, guys. How's that for Parliament?
No, not that. The guarantee was that would not be taking place.
Not Australia, sorry, New Zealand. Apologies, Australia.
The House is suspended.
Yeah, so anything indigenous seems to be a problem these days. Anything indigenous seems to be a problem. Guys, it's time we look after yourselves. We were talking about it the other day as well. I was talking with friends and I was actually chatting at work. What's Fiona say? Sorry, I'm using voice recognition. Forgot to correct Ronaldo's name spelling. Don't worry, we knew exactly who you're talking about. Ronaldo's well known. He's a good man. I enjoy the man through and through. I've got to meet him personally, and I have not changed my mind about him. I like him very much. Hinda, the Maori savage, is running wild. There goes there. Anyway, I had a few more things on, and I actually wanted to talk about what we would do if you came back from the past to the present. We wanted to know how shocked you would be if you came from 1984 and you came back to 2024. But we'll talk about that next week because my hour is up and I'm not going to hold you guys up anymore either. I'll just have to actually skim down the news articles or the chatting. I spoke a little bit long in the beginning as well. But yeah, you know what? The number one thing is you cannot do certain things and you can do other things. The most important is that you do what you can do about. I just need to hide something there. Sorry. The most important is that you do about what you can do about. We were looking, and I sort of just read over the end again of this book called Make Your Own Damn Cheese. And I went through that again. And one of the things about the maze outside, which is your reality, you're not going to be able to dig out of this maze, which is reality. However, you can change how you handle, how you see, how the maze outside affects you. We can only change government, yes, by making people aware, yes, by voting, but making our lives miserable about it is only giving them the rent in our house, in our minds, to make us miserable and make us bitter and make us drink our own poison and die from it. We've got to try and see how we can make ourselves comfortable, how we can look after our families, how we can take care of each other. I can take care of my neighbor. I can support you, not necessarily financially, but you can support each other for being there for each other. Like you guys have an absolute amazing way. This is why I say I do not have a huge million, thousands, tens of thousands of people on my channel, but I have the amazing gold. You know, when you take this huge scoop of sand and everyone says, take a look at my barrel, and we put it through a sieve, and what's left are the pieces of gold and diamond. That's you guys. That's you guys left behind. And be that gold and be that diamond and look after each other and be there for each other and be the change that you can be for yourselves, because you cannot make the major change. You can vote, you can point out, and you can make aware of, but you cannot have this make you miserable. You cannot have the world. I took a look. I was actually quite sick again at the end of this week a bit, because I'd been doing so much politics. It's just not funny. I started becoming a little bit bitter. I started becoming angry. I started becoming resentful. And even I said, you're dreaming of these things, and you're starting to overdo it on politics. You know what? Try and slow down and look at something else a little bit. Play a game or something. Do something just to relax. Sometimes, you know what? You've got to spend the time in the sun and look after number one, and that will be you, the people around you, the people who love you, and the people you care for. CB1, John, Allison, Hendo, we're all with you. We might not be able to put the big bucks down, but we've all got big hearts. And I know I've probably got the smallest one over here, because the rest of you guys are just like absolutely, absolutely awesome. So from my side on, I would just like to say thank you so very much for being the absolute, absolute awesome people that you always are, that you have been, that you will be. I pray that you look after yourselves, that you have an absolutely awesome week, and that you realize, what's the Alcoholics Anonymous? Please, Lord, help me to accept the things I cannot change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. May wisdom follow you throughout this week. May peace be there for you. May you all be absolutely phenomenally, awesomely supported and taken care of the same way that you do. And I would like to say, take care, be good, and if you can't be good, at least be kind. Cheers.